You are listening to the TV Obsessive podcast, brought to you by TVObsessive.com.
Okay, welcome back to the TV Obsessive Podcast. We're here today for episode 170. As always, I'm Cameron Crane, executive editor for TVObsessive.com. I'm joined by Ryan Kirksey, writer and contributor for the site. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Doing great this week, really great. And I think no small part because man, I've really watched some good things this week, and we're going to talk about a lot of it. More things coming up I'm looking forward to, but it's always a good week when you're just on a streak of things you love watching.
Yeah, indeed. I did wrap up season one of Dark Matter, which we were talking about last week. Wasn't necessarily planning to hit on it again, but you just put me in mind of it. I finished up season one the other night, and really kind of curious to see where they go with season two, which comes out in like 10 days, 9 days or something
Hmm.
at this point. Did you finish season one yet? I know you
I
had a
still
couple
have the
episodes.
two episodes left, so you're now ahead of
Yeah.
me.
It's funny because you told me you stopped after episode seven, and when I got through episode seven, I was like, "That's kind of an odd place to stop, right?" Really? I mean,
Just just life, not because I wanted to.
yeah, yeah. It's like narratively. Anyhow, looking forward to seeing where that one goes, given how they ended season one. I'm really kind of curious about it. Also, though, this week Lanterns premiered on Sunday. Which you're writing on for the site. I'm also watching it, and I edited your piece, so I read it, and I thought it was good. And I feel like we're coming at it from really different perspectives, which might be is fruitful to talk about briefly, because I know like absolutely nothing about the Green Lantern. Like I realized how little I knew reading reactions to this show. I mean, it's at the level of, oh, I guess these characters are in the comic books. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
mean, I came to it with what I'd say was sort of the skeleton of the understanding. Not didn't necessarily grow up a DC Comics guy, but understood enough about it to be dangerous. But I've been studying some of the lore and some of the background, and much like say Black Panther was in the comics back in the early 70s, John Stewart as Green Lantern as a hero of color was sort of a revolutionary moment in culture and comics and a lot of different things. And so it's just sort of one of those touchstone things now that they have adapted these. But yes, these are actual characters from the comics that go all the way back to the late 50s. And as you know from reading what I wrote and I was hesitant going in because of a lot of things because of I think the mediocre nature of some of the new DCU stuff that's come out. Certainly because of the last thing we saw that was Green Lantern was just an abomination with Ryan Reynolds. But
Yeah.
I think what I put in is I just could not be more in after this show. This premiere just hit me on so many levels, and the more I think about it, and the more I sort of peel back the layers of the episode, I keep finding more and more things I like about it. The different levels of mystery, the character interactions, the the point in time in which it's set. Just so many things are resonating with me, and I can't wait for the next seven episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I also enjoyed it a lot. And I'm curious, I've seen some mixed reviews. I think there were some critics who got, I don't know if they gave them the whole season, probably not, maybe close to it, whatever. I haven't actually read the reviews. I've just seen people like Alan Sepinwall posting on Blue Sky about their
Yeah.
reviews, and you know what I mean? Um, because I don't want to spoil myself, but to the extent that I've gotten any kind of impression about it being mixed, um, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes because for me, coming in with again virtually no real background knowledge about the lore in the comics,
Yeah.
um, I almost wonder like, are they making this more for me
Mm,
than for the people who are real fans? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if they can hit that balance right because um, like okay, I have no real knowledge of the lore, but of course I have impressions of the Green Lantern, and honestly, they're not the most positive in the world. Like you mentioned the
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds movie, which I didn't see because I thought it looked kind of stupid. And like and prior to that, there was always some feeling about the Green Lantern being, I don't know, like cheesy or
Hmm.
something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I don't know what, like Batman, where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
he's cool. He dresses like a bat or whatever. It's like even as a kid, it was kind of like, wait, what? He's a green guy with he's got a ring or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and so maybe that's part of why I don't know more about it because it didn't compel me just on a surface level. But I do agree with what they're doing with the show. I mean, I think the casting's great, the acting's great. Um, and of course, that one of the reasons why I tuned in is Damon Lindelof behind the scenes.
hmm
So, I'm really hooked so far, and I'm really intrigued to see where it goes. And it seems like they've hit on some of the kind of lore from the comments a little comics.
yeah,
They've hit on some of the lore from the comics a little bit in not in quite a background way, but in something of an indirect way. And I wonder how
yes,
much they will work that in. Um, but I think so far so good. But of course, I love
yeah.
the Watchmen series and so on. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're touching on something important, which is this was not sold to us as, oh, if Green Lantern is your favorite comic and you read all of the last 40 years, you're going to love this show. It was sold to us as, anyone can come in and absorb this and love the story that we're trying to put together. And I think that they have done that. And even for someone like me that maybe was a little bit more familiar, but studied a lot leading up to this. I really resonated with it. I think that from what I understand, I have read a few reviews. Seven Walls was one. Everyone got seven of the eight episodes,
Okay.
and I guess if there's a theme of the mixed reviews, it is that it is tough to do True Detective season one with the lore of space cops, right? Sometimes you got to be pulled both directions, and it's hard to balance that. And I thought the first episode did a wonderful job of that, of not slapping us in the face with the oath and the ring and what all the stuff with it. But as you go forward, you're gonna have to envelop some of that, and I think that's where some of the people got kind of mixed with it.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely curious because I mean, I can well imagine people who are big fans of it from the comics being disappointed along those lines. Like, I don't know. I don't know how everyone felt about Watchmen. I feel like with Watchmen, I saw overwhelmingly positive reviews, but one never knows if that's just like the
Yeah,
circles that you're in as
yeah,
and of course critically acclaimed and all of that. But um, I guess I can't quite make that point without a huge spoiler for that TV series. But if you know what I'm referring to, there was kind of a big something in Watchmen that they sort of more held in the background, right?
yeah.
And I thought they did that really well. So if there's any kind of similar card up their sleeve with lanterns, I expect I'll be happy with it. I'm definitely going to keep watching it each week.
Yeah, certainly. And I will be writing about each episode. Seven more to go each Sunday night. So, like I said, I'd say this was a risk, HBO took by giving it its premiere Sunday night slot. But
Yeah,
for me, so far so good.
yeah, indeed. Several things hitting the news. You mentioned right before we started recording. We've got several shows that you're into, perhaps more than I am. Maybe let's go ahead and start there. I don't know which one you want to start with. We've got three. I mean, I guess Disney Plus had they had one of their announcement day things, so
Yeah,
there's maybe some other stuff as
D23 was
well.
last week. They had the big X-Men casting announcement. They revealed some footage and trailers for some of their upcoming movies and shows and other projects. They do stuff about everything, theme parks, everything at D23. But yeah, sort of the highlight is what they're going to put on screen. And I would say I'm much more excited about one of these things than the other. I was very mixed on the first season of Ahsoka. We do know the second season is coming back in January. I like Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka Tano. I just, was kind of mixed on the story. My favorite character, this is just the unfortunate thing we've talked about. My favorite character from that show was Baylan Skoll, played by the late Ray
Yeah,
Stevenson. He's since passed away. So there he's being replaced, and I think by a great actor. But I don't know. We'll see. You know, uh, like Marvel, Star Wars is kind of pressing pause after this second season of Ahsoka on a lot of things, pulling back on some TV shows, and after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, there's been nothing about a renewal of the show. So we'll see how this goes. But this is sort of on a I'll probably watch it list for me.
Yeah, and this one was kind of odd. I feel like, and I'm not into this stuff. It's always funny with Star Wars in particular for me because like there was a time in my life when I was really into Star Wars,
Yeah.
but that was before the prequels came out, so it's kind of been a while. And then there, stuff that I watched. But anyway, so I haven't even watched Ahsoka season one, but I think it was in like 2023. I mean that they did season one.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's
Right.
been. I think
Like
it was October 23 was when this first came out. Something along there. Yeah.
I half thought they canceled it. I forgot to double check, but like I think that you wrote on season one for
Yes. Yes.
TVObscast.com. This is like 3 years ago, you know. But yeah, okay, so we're getting season two, and yeah, we'll see. You'll have to let me know how you feel about season two, I guess, when it comes. Well, we don't have a date on this one yet, so it's not until 2027. I think
Yeah.
they're
That
saying
that
early 2027.
Yeah, it looks like what they're hinting at. I don't know if there's an official announcement on date, but I think the early rumors it will come in January. But yeah, definitely early 2027. It seems to be almost ready. I'll certainly watch it. But yeah, I was pretty hyped for the first season. I'm much less enthusiastic for coming into season two.
Right on. It's coming sooner. Maybe you're more excited about this one. We've got a date. It's October 14th, day of the sudden departure. Um, not that that's relevant here, just Lindelof on the mind a little bit. Vision Quest. You excited about this one?
Yeah, so this is interesting. Vision Quest completes the what we'll call the WandaVision trilogy, with WandaVision that was now 5.5 years ago. Then there was Agatha All Along, that looked at Agatha Harkness, the witch that's involved in that story, and then this will sort of close the loop with the show Vision Quest, and it's hard to say exactly what this will be about, without understanding how WandaVision ended and where we left off with that character, but I think just to suffice it to say that I can't say much about what the story will be or how compelling the story will be within the show, but kind of the innovative sense at how they make the show that WandaVision caught everybody's attention with was kind of the vibe I got for this. Agatha All Along was not, I think, in that vein at all, and they're certainly going back to this sort of let's throw things on the wall and see what sticks when we have somebody like Paul Bettany and James Spader and some other good actors around them. So I'm much more excited about sort of watching this one and completing the trilogy than that I am say I was about Agatha or will be about Ahsoka.
Yeah. I mean, I remain intrigued here. I still haven't gotten around to watching WandaVision. But it seems like from everything I've saw about WandaVision and have heard about it, it seems like if there's a chance for me to like one of these,
Yeah,
like MCU shows, it might be that one. But I still haven't checked it out. And again, with what I've seen here about Vision Quest, it intrigues me.
yeah.
But
And certainly you don't need Agatha to sort of complete the circle here in terms of the story. You just need WandaVision. But in saying that, for WandaVision, you almost need what happened in the MCU and in Infinity War and Endgame to understand where those characters end up, to where WandaVision kicks off. And so
yeah,
while I love the story of WandaVision, I think it was well done. The most interesting thing about WandaVision was just, I mean, you literally have never seen anything like it, sort of how they
yeah.
put it together and how they structured it. So that was the most compelling thing, and I suspect there'll be some of that in Vision Quest as well.
Cool. Yeah, it's there is there's that hurdle.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time, I do think it's interesting because people will complain about homework and the MCU and stuff like that. And look, to some degree, I think that's fair because I feel it.
yeah,
In relation to things like you were just saying, like do I know enough or could I just jump in? But I do think it's interesting because from the perspective of the creators of the film or the TV shows, that thought always has to kind of be in the room, right? You want to ideally make something
yeah,
that someone could watch and enjoy who doesn't have all of that knowledge. So I do
yeah,
think it's kind of interesting sometimes to go ahead and be that person and see how it goes. I mean,
yeah,
there's a way in which I kind of felt that way about lanterns, which we were just talking about, like um with lanterns, it's like, okay, literally, man, I don't know. My knowledge of the Green Lantern is like, okay, there's a ring, and then it's like they're space cops, I guess. That's like
Yeah.
all I have, really.
Yeah.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So I actually do have a little bit more when it comes to Vision Quest, because this ties back into the Ultron stuff and so on. I
Hmm.
know I did see that movie, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, what you would just need to know if you're just deciding I'm going to watch WandaVision and Vision Quest is it'd be helpful to watch Endgame, and from Endgame you'll get a sense of not only the relationship that Wanda and Vision have to one another, but their sort of larger place within this group of characters, and that'll set the stage for what you need to know for those.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably necessary. Although I already sort of know. That's the thing
Yeah,
with some of the stuff too. It's like I
yeah,
already sort of know
yeah, yeah.
in a way. Okay, so the third thing, right, we haven't hit on yet, going
Yes.
back to circling back to HBO, another thing that you wrote on season one of is Welcome to Derry. It's just now renewed for season two. That was one of the things that
Yeah.
struck me here because this show aired last year, I think.
This was a year ago, and in this piece that we'll link to, there are some, I think, some reasonable, maybe semi-reasonable explanations as to why it took so long. Th This is a show. Well, I shouldn't even go that far. I don't want to touch anything that might be a spoiler, but there are some reasons structurally for this show why it might take longer in creating a story or telling the story that they want to do in season two. And you can read about what that story will be if you look at the piece we're gonna link to. But y yes, officially a season two. Welcome to Derry, but that means likely nothing has been done at this point other than
Right.
gathering the crew that's going to put it together. So yeah, for someone that enjoyed the first season, I'll certainly watch second and try to write about this the second. There's a really good story that they're going to tell in season two, and so I'm excited about that. But yeah, this is going to be a while.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I watched I didn't finish it. I watched some Welcome There. We did one podcast on the premiere. Like I thought it was pretty good. Maybe I'll catch up. I guess I have plenty of time though. But I mean, what surprised me is that not that it was renewed. I'm not
Mm,
at all surprised that it was renewed. I'm surprised that it wasn't already renewed. You
I
know what
am
I'm
too.
saying? Like,
Yeah,
because this isn't the kind of thing where, oh, well, as you were saying, like maybe it takes a while to produce the second season, all of that. We've gotten, as we've hit on many times, sort of used to even it taking a couple years in between seasons, but they're just renewing it now. To
yeah.
me, yeah, that
I
does imply that they've done functionally nothing yet.
I really don't understand it. I mean, we were commenting on things right after the season ended of how, oh, it's in the top five of this, it's in the it's rated the most highly of that in terms of HBO shows currently and in the past, and so it really does confuse me why it took this long. Probably some behind the scene things with maybe how successful it was of what they needed to
Yeah.
negotiate for it to keep going. But yeah, it is a surprise it took this long.
Yeah, I do think that is part of the issue. And I can't claim real expert level knowledge about how these things work now
Yeah,
or how much they might vary. I think they might vary more is also part of the thing.
yeah.
I do know that it used to be back in like the 1990s.
Hmm.
The reason why so many of those shows have seven seasons is because they put everyone under contract at the beginning for seven seasons.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. That's right.
And even if it got canceled, you know what I mean? Like I recall some interview or something with Patrick Stewart about Star Trek: The Next Generation, where like during the first season he just didn't unpack his suitcase because he thought the show was going to get canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then if it doesn't, oh, we already got everyone under contract. Here's your, 156 episodes or whatever. And that's also why with the X-Files, after season seven is when you have the kind of exit of David Duchovny meaningfully and to a lesser degree Gillian Anderson because they needed new contracts at that point
Yeah.
after seven seasons. So that's just not the case anymore. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be probably related to something in the background along those lines here. Um, when it comes to it taking this long for them to simply renew the series, whether it's
I
bringing in
think
new
so.
people
Yeah.
or what exactly. Yeah.
And that's what's so strange. Again, it's hard not to. Okay, so people have seen either of the It movies or understand the lore is that the Pennywise comes around every 27 years.
Yeah.
And so largely, if you're telling a story that involves Pennywise, you're mostly not going to have the same characters from story to story or from appearance to appearance. So they're, so they're. It's not like we could just sign the season one cast up for another one and just auto renew everything. There's a lot of behind the scenes things I think that had to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the primary explanation here. But still, they could have
Yeah,
gotten on top of it quicker. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly,
I'm just thinking back to last week, I think it was, when I mentioned the lowdown coming in October, and you were like, "Didn't that show just air?" And it was like, "Yeah, last fall." I went and double
exactly,
checked it. It
exactly.
it it, it premiered in September of 2025, and now we're getting season two in October of 2026. Like, that should feel more normal, you
Yeah.
know?
By the way, can I
Um,
just throw a random thought at you of something that popped in my head literally 2 days ago?
yeah, what?
When are we getting the final season of Yellow Jackets? Have you heard
Oh,
anything about that? I mean, this has been
yeah.
like 4 4 years, 3 or 4 years now.
No, it hasn't.
Has it been that long? When did I'm gonna have to look this up while we're
Uh,
talking.
no, I think that the most recent season was early 2025.
Was it 25? Man, I'm just thinking, okay, time is all out of whack for me. 'Cause I would assume, no, you're right. You're right. February
Yeah.
25. So okay, so this
Um,
coming up at 27 will be at 2 years. So maybe that's about the time we should start expecting it.
it's in the works. I know it's in the works.
Yeah.
Um, people are fans of Yellow Jackets. I've been writing on the site since I've been writing on the show on TVObscast.com since the show began. You can check out my articles there. And also I did that interview in early 2025 with the team that made the credits, which I still think is cool.
Yes.
People go check that out. But no, I've seen Ryan some things just like on social media and stuff like that. Like, so I don't have any hard news here, and we didn't
Yeah.
put this on our show sheet. You just thought of it to ask. But I saw something like Melanie Linsky talking about other people wrapping their last day on set and stuff
Okay.
like that. So
Okay.
it's
I don't know if you had quizzed me, I would have thought that this was happening in this time frame in 2024. But you're right. This was 2025. So maybe if we get it in the first half of 2027, that's kind of par for the course these days.
yeah, and probably would be quicker than Severance. It was on as the same time as Severance
Yeah.
again. Um, Anyhow, yeah, I'm curious to see how that one ends, not to go on too much of a tangent about it, but that was definitely one for me where that show premiered, it immediately like jumped to the top of things that I
Yes.
was tempted to say are my favorite show on TV.
Yes.
And it's probably fallen off a little bit. So I don't know. Hopefully they manage to end it well. I know it's only one more season on that. Um, Coming sooner, probably. Maybe
Yeah.
not sooner than Yellow Jackets, because we're all speculating there, and there's no date involved here. But Murderbot season two, Murderbot, in contrast to It Welcome to Derry, I don't remember exactly when it aired now without double checking. I know we covered it on the podcast. It was immediately renewed, and I know that it has been in production at least to some degree. A few months ago, Tina Kakadelis did an interview with set designer
Yeah.
where she mentioned some stuff about working on season two. So I don't know where it is exactly. We're getting a casting announcement here. So does that mean
Yeah.
that these new cast members haven't done any work yet, or is there some kind of delay? I never know about the timing about that. But if you look at this cast list, there's just some impressive names here, man.
I don't know if I've ever seen this before. We've got another article we'll link to here. I mean, there is a list, a bulleted list of about 25 different names, most of which you've heard of before. This show this all of a sudden just became the we have to go on it. I mean, if you're any sort of name in television right now, this is some incredible names that are going to be in Murderbot season two, in addition to the already strong cast that they had.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to pull it up again real quick and see, okay, like who stands out to you? So the headliners per the Deadline article I've got at least are Steve Buscemi,
Yes.
Wanda Sykes, and Patton Oswalt. I mean, they're literally in the headline of the article.
Yeah.
But then, man, Tramal Tillman,
Yeah. Yeah. How was he not in a part of the headline of this? I mean, that guy's on fire right now.
Bridget Everett,
Martha Plimpton.
Blair Underwood,
Yeah.
Michael Sheen, Brendan Hunt. I mean, yeah, and then there are more too. So
Talia Reese, who I really liked in True Detective season four. Yeah.
yeah, just a whole bunch of names here. People can go look it up and just very quickly. Oh, Topher Grace. Yeah. I mean, like, so there's just tons of names here,
Yeah.
and I wonder what that means in terms of the plot of this season. Yeah, how are all these people going to be involved? Um,
Yeah.
But they've got source
That
material to
that
work
that,
with.
that
So
I will say that's the first thing that jumped to mind for me. Is this going to become sort of a case of the week or a what was the show with that was on Peacock with oh gosh. I'm thinking Mrs. Davis, but it wasn't Mrs. Davis. It was the Poker
Poker
Face.
Face, yeah.
Yeah, where there was sort of an ongoing story, but really every week was something different and had guest stars that popped up every week. I wonder if Murderbot is sort of trending that way.
Or see, here's the thing though, right? Because you have to remember that Murderbot likes to watch TV
That's true. Good
within
point.
the universe of the show,
Good
right?
point.
Now, it has had that one TV show that was like its favorite TV show. The name is eluding me at the moment, but we know
Yeah,
what
it's soap opera. Yeah,
like sci-fi soap opera show or whatever. So, like, look, some of these people could be playing characters in that show, or it could be that there are like more in-universe TV shows that Murderbot starts trying out or something, and
yeah,
that could lead. So, right, so like some of these parts might be really small and not actually in the same world. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. They
not
might
part of the
be,
prime storyline. Yeah,
yeah, they might be characters on TV shows that Murderbot watches or something
yeah.
like that.
Which
That's a
that's
definite
where
possibility.
John Cho and Jack McBrayer are it's in part of the show right now.
Yeah, and what's his name? The guy who was in Agents of Shield. Um,
Oh, Greg,
Clark, Clark
Clark,
Gregg.
yeah, Clark Gregg.
Clark Gregg. Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm definitely looking forward to that. We'll see when we get it. We don't have a date, but again, as I understand it, they've been working on that one, and with some of this stuff coming from Apple TV, I don't mean this as a complaint, but it's not uncommon for them to just like announce it a couple months before it comes out or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so. I think that could potentially still be late 2026, but if not, probably be 2027
yeah.
sometime.
I think so.
All right. Speaking of Apple TV, we're ready to talk about Silo. We're working our way here through season 3. We're up to episode 8 this week called Grey Goo. Spoilers will be on the table here for everything in the Silo TV show up through this episode, season 3, episode 8. We'll put a little bit of music in here and be back with you in just about 10 seconds.
Okay, we're here to talk about Silo on Apple TV, Season 3, Episode 8, titled Grey Goo, written by Jenny Arment-Strand and directed by Amber Templemore. In the before times, Daniel and Helen are shown that the silo diggers up close and then taken to a farm to learn more about the project. Stenson and Thurmond are digging 50 silos to help repopulate the Earth when the inevitable end of the world comes. Stenson believes it will come from nanotechnology after Iran detonated a nanobomb in DC. Daniel and Helen are asked to stay and be part of the project, appealing to Helen's journalistic instincts and Daniel's infrastructure background, but both decide to leave. Charlotte, however, is also offered a role and she decides to stay. In Silo 17, Lucas is recovering from a drone attack where he was shot. Patrick and Lucas meet Jimmy and the survivors and explain to them they need to find the pipe to learn how it was sealed. There, they find the body of Jimmy's mother, who apparently welded herself into the pipe room because there was so much poison and she didn't want to affect their silo. In Silo 18, Robert Sims is thrown in jail for opposing Camille. Juliet and Shirley's plan to cap their own poison pipe is thwarted, and Juliet is thrown in prison with Robert. Billings and Hank arrest Mike for killing Orla Kent after getting information from Harwood and Knox's father. Okay, we have to start in the before times because we have I think a pretty significant revelation here as to why, or at least the beginnings of a reason of why these silos are being built. So we've been waiting for this for a long time. So what we know at this point, what is your impression of, the reasons why this is built? How did this land? This was, I think, a long time coming. So we were hoping for this all season.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know if it's what I was hoping for quite. So, good. It's moved forward. We've got a little bit more of an answer. And the first thing I got to thinking about is why it felt somewhat unsatisfying for me. And I guess the biggest reason I would point to ultimately is it's almost like, all right, so yes, I want to know why they built the silos, and I want to know why people ended up living in the silos, you know. But even there, on that second part, not quite there yet. I think the thing I realized though is that for some time, what I want to know more is why life in the silos is the way that it is, if you follow me, right? Like why the cleanings and all of that kind of nonsense, you know what I mean?
I think there are three important questions, and you have touched on all three just there. And that we have, I think that we have answered the first one. I think we have answered and I don't even think we've answered completely the first one yet as
Yeah.
to why they're building these. I think that I put the quote in here from what Stinson says to them that he believes nanotechnology is the most dangerous weapon, but he says something will happen is inevitable. So it's not like something has happened. They're preparing for something to happen. And so there is that then leads, of course, into what pushes them into the silo eventually, right? And so that we don't know, and that
Yeah.
we are unaware of. We're just sort of now just prepping at this point, is what it seems like. And so I'm sort of with you that this was less than completely satisfying because all these answers I think tie together, and we don't have really the complete answer to one. Now we still need two and three.
Right. And I think at one point even Senator Thurman says that the threat is imminent and it's not. It's like she's not using the word correctly, but I guess a lot of
Yeah,
real world politicians also use the word incorrectly.
right.
But because that would mean like it's gonna happen right now, sort of thing. And like, I mean, what feels pressing is okay, well, if like Iran in this story has the nano weapons, and set off a bomb with the nano weapons in
Mm,
DC, maybe that threat does feel significantly closer. All the other stuff that's mentioned, though, would be real world equivalent, I think, in terms of climate collapse, possibility of nuclear war. I did, by the way, look a little bit into nano weapons,
okay.
and don't worry, people are working on it. That was like, as far
I,
as I can tell, they don't actually like have what they seem to have in the story. But like, if you read about it a little bit, you're like, why are we doing this? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
This is, as you say, this is a real thing. There are some, won't go into any detail, but there are some similarities between what was discussed here as to why and what the reasons are in in the books as to why these silos have come about. But to your point, I think so. They believe, or they have confirmed, that Iran set off a nano bomb of sorts in DC.
Yeah,
So it seems like the retaliation to that was, which we'll have to talk about. So Charlotte's mission was sort of a decoy, but the real main thing was to put this nuclear bomb underground and blow up their capabilities to do that. Okay. So if that's the case, then even if a retaliation is imminent for that latest action, they're years away from building these silos. It's not going to matter if something's happening as imminent because they're not ready to go in there.
yeah, right. There's also that. Um, and it does seem like Charlotte and her squad, well, they were almost doing an experiment, like they were almost sacrificing them. And look,
Exactly.
there are several things here I do want to point to as questions. One of which is how did she survive? It
Yeah.
seems like she's the only one who survived, and she seems to have been relatively unscathed
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, yeah, she's got, PTSD and all of that, but
Yeah.
how did she even survive when it seems like everyone else died and the last we saw was her plane seemingly about to crash? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, what exactly happened there?
And I thought about that.
Um,
I don't have a good answer there other than we need her later. That's
yeah, I
really
don't
what
know
it
if we're
comes
going
down
to
to.
get a good answer there other than, yeah, just the narrative. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Hey, she survived. People survive. People survive all kinds of stuff. What was the show where someone was like, babies can live in a collapsed building? Oh, it was Paradise. That's it.
Yeah.
Babies don't eat food. It's an earthquake. Um, sorry, that was an aside. But yeah, so I don't know if we're going to get an answer to that question at all. it does get what's made me more interesting to talk about briefly is it did get me thinking about how okay, so Per Stenson, who's like the richest man in the world in this story,
Hmm.
looks at the threats and says, look, it's inevitable that something's going to happen. And the nanotechnology in particular, because it's going to become cheap and easy enough to produce that it could just be like, some random whack job in his garage.
Yeah.
Um, and he's gotten Senator Thurman and whoever else involved in this. And then, I guess it makes some sense that they want to keep it secret until it's done and all of that. You've got the line from Senator Thurman about then they'll leak it in a few years,
Hmm.
in direct conflict to her saying it's an imminent threat. Anyway,
Yeah.
and we're going to call it Stenson's Folly and all of that. So, like, if we take that all at face value,
Hmm.
one question, of course, is I don't know if we should,
Yeah.
but if we do, then I still wonder, well, what comes in between this and people actually going into the silos? And I'm not sure that we can jump to the conclusion even that when people finally really do go into the silos for real,
Yeah.
it's the same powers in the world who are in charge of the project. You follow me there? Like, I don't know if we can say, well, it's still Per Stenson behind it when we
Yeah.
get to that point.
I
Um,
I follow you 100%. And again, based on some things that I anticipate and some things that I have read, I think this this show largely hinges on how that works.
okay.
I think that I was, uh, as you might have been, or it sounds like you were, slightly disappointed in this reveal. I don't think this is everything. But what happens between this reveal and we have to put people into the silo? Clearly, we're not just putting 100 people in there as workers for the next 5 years, right? Like they talk about, we have to populate these things with the thousands of people to get them self-sufficient and running. So what happens between this reveal and that? I think will go a long way in determining. Maybe it should just sort of truncate that to will largely depend on how I feel about this season because
Yeah.
that's the crux of this story.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that makes sense to me what you're saying. Um, and, Per Stenson here lists AI as one of the threats. One of the things I started thinking about is how I double checked when the books were written.
Hmm.
And of course, the show doesn't have to exactly follow the books or anything like that. But, when Hugh Howey was writing these books some 15 years ago, it was like 2011 to
Yeah,
2013. Well, that's a little bit different than now when you've got this stuff in the
yeah,
world that people are calling AI all over the place with the large
yeah,
language models and all of that. But then that, of course, has to influence the thinking of the writers on the show.
yeah,
So I don't know. I guess I don't necessarily have a place I want to take that right now, but it's something I got thinking about in terms of as a viewer of the show
yeah,
and the maybe potential like ways that this has shifted in my own mind. Whereas, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I might have watched a sci-fi story with AI in it.
hmm
What's a good example? Like, I don't know. Let's go further back. We go further back. Go to 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
yeah,
Like, if any of this feels like a spoiler, that movie is older than I am. You got Hal and all of
yeah,
that, right? And so it's been there for a long time as this kind of intriguing question about the possibility of kind of like true artificial intelligence.
yeah,
Whereas now, I was thinking about this more related to what's going on in the silo with the algorithm. The way in which I, as a viewer, am thinking of the algorithm as ChatGPT
yeah,
or
yeah,
something like the possibility, and for me, that's a very negative thing to say. The
hmm
possibility that it actually is, um, some super intelligent being is not on the table really. And I'm starting to wonder, like, maybe it should be more. Maybe I should be re-engaging with the history of that concept more in terms of its history and science fiction. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to think about that timeline because I know a little bit about this, where I work, we do some work on this, but yeah, 15, 20 years ago, nanotechnology was was the science fiction topic du jour, right? It's like, oh my gosh, can you believe this thing that we have developed and what we can do on this scale? And that sort of in these last 15 years has been surpassed by the idea of AI and how we have incorporated that into literally everything, and how clearly some aspect of that has been incorporated into this show, not just by what Perstinson says, but otherwise, and then the algorithm and other things. And so there's this sense of, does this land maybe like it would in a different time? And will we evolve from what they're talking about with nanotechnology into more of an exploration of AI as we get more into, what's happening in the silo? So, I mean, I think you're right.
Yeah. So I wonder about that, and that's where, you know, even clues about how Per Stenson feels about AI, more
Yeah,
clues I could go for if we get them by the time the season's over, even if it's just more clues,
yeah, yeah.
because we'll shift to talking about what happens in Silo 18 and Silo 17 and so on in this episode in more detail here in a moment. But, this is one of the things that occurred to me as a theory putting this all together after this week is, well, what if, however it happened exactly, this whole structure with the silos just got set up and it's fully under the control of the computers?
Hmm.
And like, there's no living human being who like even remembers about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, maybe the rest of the world's fine. Maybe it's not. But like, what if there's no one out there
yeah.
beyond this space in Georgia who even knows what the hell's going on down there?
Yeah, and we
Um,
have heard earlier in the seasons, timelines like, oh, more than 300 years old or things like
yeah.
that. So it's like, how could there be, right? So yeah, what was established and how are they self-sufficient and how are they run? That's a very important question, I think.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I hope we get a significant amount more on that front before the season's over. I'm not holding my breath because there's only 2 episodes left, but
Yeah,
we'll see
yeah.
if they
I,
decide to
I
move fast and give us a lot of information about the season finale.
I have told you that I wondered after the past couple of episodes, will the story of this, of this silo coming online stretch into next season? I did not, when the season started, anticipate that would be the case. Now I'm less confident in that. I still do have a prediction of how this season will end, like the last shot of what this season is.
Yeah,
But a lot would have to happen that has not happened yet for it to get there.
we'll see, man. And this is the thing, going to the storyline with our friends in the silos. If this is 350 years later, I guess it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know if I should drop that as a question at some point, but I'm not gonna until I'm like proven.
Don't drop any questions. Don't drop
Yeah.
any questions.
Well, I did have to drop the question about why it looked like it was nice outside when the power went out in season one. I did kind of
Yeah, yeah,
drop
yeah.
that one. Um, but I would love it if the show didn't. You know what I mean? Like if somehow,
Yeah.
sometime in the future, they were like, "Oh, here's the explanation for that," but I doubt it. Um, what was I about to say? Oh, so I mean, again, thinking about how far are we going to get by the end of season three in this storyline, I'm starting to get worried that it's going to be the end of season three when they finally manage to disable the safeguard and not before, which would mean that episode nine is going to be what, like, I don't want to be too pejorative, but we're just going to spin our wheels a bit more throughout
Yeah.
episode nine. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Maybe it happens in episode nine and then something bigger happens in episode 10.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What you're saying there, spinning wheels a little bit. I mean, maybe is a nice. I don't want to move us along too fast, but nice segue into to Silo 18 because I had that feeling again when it was in Silo 18 when it was okay, we got to come up with a plan. Then we send Shirley out. Shirley's gone the wrong direction. Let me go catch her. Let me send her back the right direction. Oh, we're caught. Let's put her in jail. just unnecessary roadblocks to getting to what we were really trying to do here.
Yeah, I felt that way a lot in this episode, unfortunately, and particularly coming on the heels of last week's episode, well, episode 7, it would be right, where it was like, oh yeah, man, we're cooking, we got
Hmm.
momentum and all of that kind of stuff. To be, even if there was some narrative bumpiness there that we talked about a bit, to be now, in particular with I'm sorry, in Silo 18, I did feel like it was kind of spinning its wheels
Yeah,
because, oh, you can't actually resolve it yet. Along the way, though, they put up roadblocks to whatever that ultimate resolution might be. So maybe we shouldn't be too dismissive because maybe some of this will matter, right? Um, they've gotten the information from Silo 17. Juliet realizes, as you alluded to, that the silos are actually like, I don't know people can't see the hand motion I'm making. They're askew. They're slightly rotated or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And so Shirley's going to go to the wrong place. I don't know. Maybe that'll matter. Beyond that, I mean, look, some of the stuff is cool and interesting in its own right. The conversations about how you would set up the structure with the thought that you'd have a
yeah.
silo in the middle, and then
I thought that was interesting. Yeah,
the pipes
yeah.
going out to sets of 7. I too want to note and not totally drop this question. Bernard said something in season 2 about there actually being 51 silos.
Hmm.
I feel like everything we've heard since then suggests 50,
Hmm.
including that diagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
One in the
yeah,
middle, 7 lines going out to 7 sets of 7. That's 50, not
yeah,
51. Wherever it's worth. So again, I don't know.
yeah. That will come up. I'm very confident. We'll learn
Okay.
about that. So
Um, just
to what we were talking about, I mean, this is hyperbole certainly, but I was almost offended. The last scene of this episode is, the crew, the group after Juliet's thrown in prison. Carla and Bernard and Shirley and all of them are together, and they're talking about, oh, well, Juliet would want us to do something. Juliet would want us to have a plan and do it. Well, that's exactly what the end of the last episode was, to come up with the plan. We're going to do it. It's okay. Well, we still need to execute these things, whether Juliet's with us or not. It just, maybe more so than any other episode, at least in the Silo 18 perspective, I thought there was some, okay, we're running in place here.
Yeah, a little bit, because then they circle back to the plan they'd been thinking about pursuing last week,
Yeah.
which we talked about not exactly making logistical sense necessarily.
Let's just blow up judicial. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but thankfully, we're not going to have to worry too much about that because there's no chance they're going to blow up Judicial when that would mean killing Juliet,
And Robert. Yeah, exactly.
even if they should. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, even if they should make that kind of decision with regard to their trolley problem or whatever, they're not gonna. Um, Still wondering about that though. The problem is, to return to that, as best I can understand, and we talked this through last week, that plan would have been just kind of haphazardly setting off a big explosion and then believing you could get in there in suits in order to seal off the poison.
Yeah.
The plan that they land on after they get the information from Silo 17 is like much more rational,
Yep.
where Shirley is going, she actually wants to do a better job than Solo's
Hmm.
mom, and has ideas about how to do that, to squeeze off the pipe and seal it and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this was part of it for me, Ryan, is I was just a little bit frustrated that I just wanted that to go ahead and work
Yeah.
at this point in the
Let's
story,
let's let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
let's just have that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But given
And
that it
plus
didn't,
the
I
fact
want to
that the
know.
the vitamin D has been released in the water for 2 episodes, and we're not seeing any ramifications of that at this point. Maybe their son is drinking, we don't know, but that's sort of a thing out there that we haven't addressed or hasn't impacted anybody yet. Maybe we'll see that in the next 2 episodes, but that's something that's
Yeah,
happened. I don't know.
I mean, in fairness, there, I think it's only been at most a day. in narrative time, even though it's been a couple weeks for us, a couple
That's true.
episodes for
That's
us.
true. Yeah.
But certainly, that's pressing. And so now they've kind of painted themselves into this narrative corner. How do they get out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know. I mean, the best I could kind of come up with trying to speculate would be, is there any possibility that they get surprise help from Camille or something
Mm.
like this? Because I'm not sure what else it could be at this point.
Yeah, would Camille ever get to the point where she has, the shine has come off of whatever the role is that she's been given, and the algorithm is doing things that she doesn't want? Does she sort of turn code on that? Can't think of who else would be, yeah, who would come to their rescue, as it were. I'm just not sure what that option would be.
Camille's son doesn't recognize her in the morning, and so she decides that
Yeah,
she's going to join forces with Robert and Juliet.
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe, but to your point, even if it has been a day, it's going to take. Juliet had been on the drugs for months, or some form of the drugs for months, and so who knows how they'll make all that
Yeah,
work.
you're right. You're right. Um, because yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there are other possibilities we're simply not thinking of, and maybe they'll be even more interesting. I mean, I've suggested over the course of this season some thoughts about ways in which things regarding the mines might become more interesting. And I guess I shouldn't drop that thread, even though we've gotten
Yeah.
the resolution to the mystery there about who killed Orla Kent. Short answer, it was the boyfriend. It's always the boyfriend. Why didn't we know it was the boyfriend? Of course it's the boyfriend. If he even was her boyfriend. They
Yeah.
don't
No,
they
I
they they don't even really give that much weight.
no. It's like a montage with some music on top of it that they just escort him out. They don't even say the name. They just go pick him up and drag him off. And I think, unless I'm missing something, we're still waiting to see how all that connects to what Juliet's team is doing. Do you have anything there?
Yeah, I mean, if it does, that would be interesting. But no, not really. I mean, other than again, some thoughts about, is there any possibility that the mines from this silo have made contact with people in the mines in other silos or something like that?
Yeah. Didn't
Um,
Harwood say he was stashing supplies, or he knew about the stashing of supplies because of the rebellion? He didn't want people to loot stuff, and I mean, that's where some of it's gone, at least.
yeah, so this is where we need to talk about a little bit more. It would seem that Knox's father designed him an elevator or a lift, whatever term we
Hmm.
want to use. We should bear in mind, we're not allowed to do that in the silo. They don't have elevators in the silo, and
Right.
at least pulleys were illegal until Billings started revising the pact or whatever.
Yeah,
Prior to
yeah.
the rebellion last season, pulleys were illegal. Why? This is the kind of question I care about more than anything else. It's a weird show like that. Um, but yeah, Harwood says something like you mentioned. Do we buy that? Maybe, I don't know. But they don't really resolve the further question of, oh, okay, so has he just stashed all those supplies somewhere? Can we get him back now? Are we back
Yeah,
to 50
exactly.
years? Even if we are back to 50 years, that's not a lot of time. So I mean, I feel like if nothing else, this whole storyline has opened up that question that the silo is on a ticking clock.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
I
big
think
problem
that's
it's opened up.
I think that's right. And yeah, where that is, how it impacts the timing of the silo. I mean, clearly the Juliet storyline is not a long drawn out, even 2 year event that's going to happen. So how that intersects, I'm very interested to see. It's like, surely this is not a we need to fill 12 minutes every episode, so we're going to just sort of have this side quest for Billings and hang it. It's got to work somehow.
Well, yeah, so I think that there's two possibilities I have in mind. One, well, actually, I'm really confident in the first one, which is, if nothing else, this has opened up that problem that there's a limited amount of critical supplies,
Yeah,
and they've got enough to survive somewhere between 2 and 50 years. But even if it's 50, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I just turned 46. I don't really think I'm going to be alive for 50 more years, but it's conceivable,
yeah, that's right.
you
That's
know?
right.
Um, So like, and a lot of these characters are younger than that. You know what I mean? It's like even
Yeah,
50 years, that's not like generations down the line. That is, in historical terms, very soon. So I
yeah,
think if nothing else, it's opened up that as a problem, which is likely to define season four in a certain way.
yeah,
The other possibility, which this could be a both and kind of situation, right, is does this lead in any way toward um, something that connects more directly with the big problem of this season in grappling with the algorithm and the safeguard
yeah.
and like what have they been doing down there in the mines and
And I
why
just
is
thought
there that
about it.
computer all the way down at the bottom of the silo and is it the same computer as the one in the
Yes,
vault and all that
we've
kind of
got to
stuff.
revisit that at some point. The computer that Lucas has a conversation with, and it also made me think about what we just talked about with a connection with Camille. What if Camille learns that we've got between 2 and 50 years left? It doesn't matter what this algorithm is saying or what it's doing. That we're our time is limited, so that sort of bends her in one direction to take some kind of action if she learned that. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going in that kind of direction with Camille. I mean, her character's clearly been conflicted. I think they've done a good job with this, to be
Yeah,
clear. So, if I'm right there and that is what happens, I don't think it makes the show overly predictable or anything like that. Because, she just she doesn't want everyone to die. She
yeah,
also doesn't want her family to lose their memories and everything else. But, like,
that's
what are you
right.
going to do? Um, under this threat of poison being pumped into the silo and killing everyone. You know what I mean? Like that's a pretty big threat. So we'll see about that. I also say, if we complained all about it spinning its wheels a bit in this episode, there are some nice character moments. I mean, I don't know, the scenes between Juliet and Bernard, I at least enjoyed.
Hmm.
But then I want to make the same remark even more so about some of the scenes in Silo 17, in particular the one between Patrick and Solo
Absolutely,
when he
absolutely right.
describes the funeral. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, talking about that tradition, the importance of it, why it matters, the simple thing that Jimmy says of no one died until everyone did. I mean, I thought that was
Oof.
always so good. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Got me in the feels. And remember, he's like functionally a child. It's cool to see him back in the story and the others there. And I'm curious about where that will go as well. I mean, from what we've gotten in this episode, well, I realize there's another big question here that's worth talking about. But first, just once they're in the Silo 17, it's like,
hmm,
okay, well, they figure out how Jimmy's mom sealed the pipe. I decided, by the way, we should probably start calling him Jimmy because I call him Jimmy in the show now.
yeah,
Um, and the way that information is relayed to Silo 18, and we care about that story. What are these people going to do beyond that? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Look, Kennedy didn't want to go. He didn't really want to go to Silo 17 in the first place. He made some kind of
at
deal like,
all.
if I get Lucas there, then I can do whatever I want. Regardless,
Exactly.
they can't really go back to Silo 18.
Not if there are flying drones around there shooting them when they try to go outside.
It's not just that. The algorithm wants them dead anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like if they or and Camille, right? I mean, like if they made it back to Silo 18, we'd be like, all right, now you're going set out to clean. They can't
Yeah, and
or
it's not
sent
like
down to the
you
mines.
can't just sneak in the back door of the silo. You got to go in through one way. There's not going to be a surprise when you come back.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Silo 17 maybe starts playing in the story more
Hmm.
again. I mean, look, there's another possibility. Um, maybe they get an idea about what to do in Silo 18 from Jimmy somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a reasonable assumption, and that this is beyond the things that I know anything about or read anything about. The idea that we have a team of people we can communicate with in a silo that, well, maybe some of that we can't do all the experimentation that they've done, or there's not a one for one thing here, but we can at least get information from them that we'd have to really work to uncover here in Silo 18. It was just if we did it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a library and all of that. He doesn't know how
Exactly.
to fix the radio, but the book does. So there are possibilities there. I also think, by the way, I might just keep calling him Solo. I don't know. Calling him, I made the shift to calling him Jimmy in my recap, but saying it out loud, I'm probably just gonna end up calling him Solo one way or the other. The way that
Yes.
goes.
Respect how he has self-identified. Yes, he is Solo.
Um, but he's both, whatever, Solo or Jimmy. So the other thing, you mentioned the drones. Okay, I guess they're drones. And we have to address this question before we wrap up. What exactly happened here? Because it would seem that some drones showed up and fired bullets. One of them hit Lucas in the shoulder, went through the
Hmm.
radio, but then Lucas and Kennedy played dead and the drones went away.
Yeah, they just decided that was enough, and they were convinced by that. So
And when they returned later, they discovered that the bodies were gone and they let, Camille and the algorithm know.
yeah, it just seems like bad strategy to go at once, once they're on the ground, we leave. We'll circle back half an hour later and check, but yeah, we're not going to verify. Yeah, not, if this is somebody or something or some algorithm controlling these things, if this is like a Skynet situation, yeah, not the best planning.
It does make me wonder if it's all under that kind of AI control.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, I mean, from just a, I don't know, rational point of view in the sense of presuming that you want to achieve the goal they want to achieve, and kill them a lot. Make sure they're dead. You know what I mean? Just like,
Kill 'em. Yeah,
yeah, it's make sure they're dead, right? Where maybe somehow, there could be that kind of confidence within the computer program or whatever that, oh, this worked. They appear to be dead now, and that's it. As opposed to, I would think at least, if there were some human drone operator behind it, they might be making more sure that this had worked.
yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, that it just sort of came, did its thing, leave. That's what it's programmed to do. I mean, it just introduces a whole new concept of, I mean, why were there no drones for Juliet? Why were just we just don't understand
Yeah,
where it's coming from.
this is the best I've got as far as a theory on that front. The plan with the people who are sent out to clean is poison. The plan with Juliet, who was sent out to clean, is poison. When they sent out
Hmm.
Juliet, they didn't know that she had the good tape from
That's right.
Supply, so they thought that the poison was going to work. Um, with Lucas and Kennedy, because of the setup, they know that they're going to have good enough suits. So now we're bringing out the guns. Now we're bringing out the drones. I guess I still wonder in the background of that, is it toxic and poisonous outside all the time?
Hmm.
I find myself increasingly think that they pump the poison out during the cleaning sessions, and but I don't really have a lot of evidence for that. But I found myself thinking that. Um, anyway, the drones are new, the bullets are new,
Yeah,
and I don't know how much more I have to say about this other than because it feeds into the same kind of question as with the safeguard.
yeah, that's right.
Why?
That's right.
And that's where what we get in the before times is still not giving me even really a clue to work with,
Yeah,
right? Why are people going to go live in underground silos? Oh, well, to survive the apocalypse and repopulate the earth later. Okay, so far, so, like rational,
yeah,
even if I really respect Helen being like, get out of here, no jobs. But why are you going to kill everyone when they try to leave? There's a further question there that I'm still just kind of
yeah.
unsure what the
I
answer might be.
I think, at least I anticipate, based on the pace that we're on, that a lot of season four, particularly in Silo 18, is going to focus on the who's in control, what's happening, why is it set up this way, why do we have to the earlier conversation, why do we have a pact, why just sort of the overarching things like this. I think and anticipate we'll largely get the questions answered from the before times that give us the why. but we have no idea the sort of the who and the why of whenever we are in Silo 18.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're talking about season 4, that's going to be the last season of the show. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we could say here, we can make a pretty definitive list of questions that the show
Yeah.
has to answer by the end of
Yep.
season 4. And you were hitting on some of them for sure, right? And that is where, if nothing else, what we learned through the whole Orla Kent storyline about there being that kind of ticking clock is an important bit of information
Yeah.
because thinking about everything together, again, one possibility is, yeah, it's a 400-year plan, and then you go outside.
Hmm.
I don't really believe that that's the case, though. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, and it's like, okay, so we need the safeguard. Why? Because it'd be a problem for people to go outside too soon.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're going to die outside. Why are you going to kill them to keep them from going outside and dying? There has to be something else going on even there. But even if we bought into that, no, it has to be the full 400 years. I don't think that I buy the notion that they're going to get let out in 50 years, even if they make it that far.
Yeah.
So,
Just the doors magically open. Yeah, you're right. It's like why that doesn't really compute to what we've learned so far.
right. Well, except that it should, if we were believing the initial plan that we're getting from like Pierce Stenson and Senator
Yeah.
Thurman, right?
Yeah.
So, what else is going on here? And really curious to see how much more we get here in season 3. We do have 2 episodes left,
Yep.
so I'm going to hold out hope that meaningful stuff happens here in episode 9, and that is my ideal hope, that like a lot of stuff resolves in episode 9 and episode
Hmm.
10 as the finale breaks it open, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Very, very curious to see how far we get. I think that we're trying to align some things for the next season, but it for me will largely depend on how far we get in the before times. I'm very curious to see over the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, same. Okay, anything else we need to hit on before we wrap up here today?
I think that covers it
On
for
this
me.
sheet, I think we hit on all this stuff. All right, good. Thanks always for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If so, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll greatly appreciate it. And be sure to check out TVObsessive.com. You can find written work there on any number of TV shows. I am writing recaps on the Silo each week if you want to read my thoughts there. Ryan's currently writing on Lanterns. We have other people writing on other things. Lots of stuff going on there. Check it out. And if you want to follow the site on social media, search for TV Obsessive on whatever platform you should find us. And as for the podcast, we'll be back with you next week.
All right, we'll see you then.